problem is, Peter, you're an enemy of God. The problem is, John and Paul and every other apostle and every other person, including everyone in this room, you have broken every law God has ever written, and you are an enemy of God. You say, well, I'm not that bad, really. If I could take out your heart right now and put it on a DVD, and I could show up here on a screen everything you've ever thought, even some of the things you're thinking now about me, you would run out of this place. You would run out of this place and you'd never show your face here again, because you've thought things so dark and so twisted you could not share them with your closest friend. And yet the God who is holy, holy, holy sees them all. What do you got to be to go to heaven? Had someone asked me that one time on an airplane. I was reading my Bible, started talking, he said, well, what do I got to do to go to heaven? I looked at him, I said, well, that's easy. You just have to be absolutely morally perfect from the time of your birth to the time of your death. And I went back to reading my Bible. And I could see his face twisting up, sort of. He's like, and then finally, he looked at me, he goes, hey, what? And I said, oh, I'm sorry. You have to be absolutely ethically, morally pristine, without any flaw, without any shadow, without any error in thought, word, or deed, before a holy God who is thrice holy. You have to be like that from the moment of your birth to the moment of your death. He looked at me, he goes, nobody can do that. I said, you got a big problem, don't you? You see, I wasn't trying to frustrate the man, I was trying to prove a point, the same one I'm trying to prove to you. There are a lot of people who think that they and Jesus working together are going to get themselves to heaven. You're mistaken. If I took your best thought, your best word, and your best deed and sent you before God with only those to be judged by, you would be condemned. Let me just give you an example. You say, well, I'm not a murderer, I'm not a prostitute. Well, what is the greatest sin? Well, what's the greatest command? Love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Do you realize you've never done that, not one second, any day of your life? You and I have never loved the Lord our God with all our heart, soul, mind, and strength. We are so full of self. That's why we have more mirrors than Bibles in our house. We're all about self. God is holy. Now that's good news and that's bad news. Why is it good? Because you wouldn't want an omnipotent creator and Lord of the universe having the character of a Hitler, would you? You'd want a holy and righteous God. You would. That's comforting to know that God is holy and righteous. But it's also, to the thinking man and woman, it's very discomforting. Why is it discomforting? Because you're not. So now what does a holy and righteous God do with someone like you and me? What does He do?